1,000 Miles Up the Nile, Section 7. This is a LibriVox recording. All LibriVox recordings are in the public domain. For more information or to volunteer, please visit LibriVox.org. 1,000 Miles Up the Nile by Amelia B. Edwards. Chapter 3, Cairo to Bedreshayn, Part 1. A rapid raid into some of the nearest shops for things remembered at the last moment, a breathless gathering up of innumerable parcels, a few hurried farewells on the steps of the hotel, and away we rattle as fast as a pair of raw-boned greys can carry us. For this morning every moment is of value. We are already late. We expect visitors to luncheon on board at midday, and we are to weigh anchor at 2 p.m. Hence our anxiety to reach Bulak before the bridge is opened, that we may drive across to the western bank, against which our dahabeah lies moored. Hence also our mortification when we arrive just in time to see the bridge swing apart, and the first tall mast glide through. Presently, however, when those on the lookout have observed our signals of distress, a smart-looking sandal or jolly boat, decked with gay rugs and cushions, manned by 5 smiling Arabs, and flying a bright little New Union Jack, comes swiftly threading her way in and out among the lumbering barges now crowding through the bridge. In a few more moments we are afloat, for this is our sandal, and these are 5 of our crew, and of the 3 dahabeahs moored over yonder in the shade of the palms, the biggest by far and the trimmest is our dear, memorable Philae. Close behind the Philae lies the Bagstones, a neat little dahabeah in the occupation of 2 English ladies who chanced to cross with us in the Simla from Brindisi, and of whom we have seen so much ever since that we regard them by this time as quite old friends in a strange land. I will call them the M.B.'s. The other boat, lying off a few yards ahead, carries the tricolour, and is chartered by a party of French gentlemen. All 3 are to sail today. And now we are on board, and have shaken hands with the captain, and are as busy as bees, for there are cabins to put in order, flowers to arrange, and 100 little things to be seen to before the guests arrive. It is wonderful, however, what a few books and roses, an open piano, and a sketch or 2 will do. In a few minutes the comfortless hired look has vanished, and long enough before the first comers are announced the Philae wears an aspect as cosy and homelike as if she had been occupied for a month. As for the luncheon, it certainly surprised the givers of the entertainment quite as much as it must have surprised their guests. Being, no doubt, a prearranged display of professional pride on the part of dragoman and cook, it was more like an excessive Christmas dinner than a modest midday meal. We sat through it unflinchingly, however, for about an hour and 3/4, when a startling discharge of firearms sent us all running upon deck, and created a wholesome diversion in our favour. It was the French boat signalling her departure, shaking out her big sail, and going off triumphantly. I fear that we of the Bagstones and Philae, being mere mortals and Englishwomen, could not help feeling just a little spiteful when we found the tricolour had started first. But then it was a consolation to know that the Frenchmen were going only to Assouan. Such is the esprit du Nil. The people in dahabeahs despise Cook's tourists. Those who are bound for the second cataract look down with lofty compassion upon those whose ambition extends only to the first, and travellers who engage their boat by the month hold their heads a trifle higher than those who contract for the trip. We, who were going as far as we liked and for as long as we liked, could afford to be magnanimous. So we forgave the Frenchmen, went down again to the saloon, and had coffee and music. It was nearly 3 o'clock when our Cairo visitors wished us bon voyage and good-bye. Then the M.B.'s, who, with their nephew, had been of the party, went back to their own boat, and both captains prepared to sail at a given signal. For the M.B.'s had entered into a solemn convention to start with us, moor with us, and keep with us, if practicable, all the way up the river. It is pleasant now to remember that this social compact, instead of falling through as such compacts are wont to do, was quite literally carried out as far as Abu Simbel, that is to say, during a period of 7 weeks' hard going, and for a distance of upwards of 800 miles. At last all is ready. The awning that has all day roofed in the upper deck is taken down. The captain stands at the head of the steps. The steersman is at the helm. The dragoman has loaded his musket. Is the Bagstones ready? We wave a handkerchief of inquiry. The signal is answered. The mooring ropes are loosened. The sailors pole the boat off from the bank. Bang go the guns, 6 from the Philae and 6 from the Bagstones, and away we go, our huge sail filling up as it takes the wind. Happy are the Nile travellers who start thus with a fair breeze on a brilliant afternoon. The good boat cleaves her way swiftly and steadily. Waterside palaces and gardens glide by, and are left behind. The domes and minarets of Cairo drop quickly out of sight. The mosque of the citadel and the ruined fort that looks down upon it from the mountain ridge above diminish in the distance. The pyramids stand up sharp and clear. We sit on the high supper deck, which is furnished with lounge chairs, tables, and foreign rugs, like a drawing room in the open air, and enjoy the prospect at our ease. The valley is wide here, and the banks are flat, showing a steep verge of crumbling alluvial mud next the river. Long belts of palm groves, tracts of young corn only an inch or two above the surface, and clusters of mud huts relieved now and then by a little whitewashed cupola or a stumpy minaret, succeed each other on both sides of the river, while the horizon is bounded to right and left by long ranges of yellow limestone mountains, in the folds of which sleep inexpressibly tender shadows of pale violet and blue. Thus the miles glide away, and by we approach Tura, a large, new-looking mud village, and the first of any extent that we have yet seen. Some of the houses are whitewashed, a few have glass windows, and many seem to be unfinished. A space of white, stony, glaring plain separates the village from the quarried mountains beyond, the flanks of which show all gashed and hewn away. One great cliff seems to have been cut sheer off for a distance of perhaps half a mile. Where the cuttings are fresh, the limestone comes out dazzling white, and the long slopes of debris heaped up against the foot of the cliffs glisten like snowdrifts in the sun. Yet the outer surface of the mountains is orange tawny, like the pyramids. As for the piles of rough-hewn blocks that lie ranged along the bank ready for transport, they look like salt rather than stone. Here lies moored a whole fleet of cargo boats, laden and lading, and along the tramway that extends from the riverside to the quarries we see long trains of mule carts coming and going. For all the new buildings in Cairo, the Khedive's palaces, the public offices, the smart modern villas, the glaring new streets, the theaters and foot pavements and cafes, all come from these mountains, just as the pyramids did more than 6,000 years ago. There are hieroglyphed tablets and sculptured grottos to be seen in the most ancient part of the quarries, if one were inclined to stop for them at this early stage of the journey, and Champollion tells of 2 magnificent outlines done in red ink upon the living rock by some master hand of Pharaonic times, the cutting of which was never even begun. A substantial new barrack and an esplanade planted with sycamore figs bring the straggling village to an end. End of Section 7.